welcome to the September garden tour. Before we get going with that though, I thought I'd do a little catch up with you, tell you what's new in my life and in the garden, and let you know about a really exciting new project that we have coming up. So first of all, the big news in my personal life is that our son Mark and his fiancee Becky got married last weekend, and oh my gosh, it was just a stellar wedding. We were away for the weekend. We went to this really great resort out in the Poconos called the Mountain Springs Lake Resort, and it's this big 150-acre property, I think, and it's got a huge lake, and there's guest cabins all around the edge of the lake, and you can rent those for the weekend. And the venue itself, the lodge, oh my gosh, gorgeous. It's a historic lodge that they've added on to over the years, and it is just breathtaking. And there's a small pond out in front of that with a beautiful big arbor that the kids got married under, and we had the chairs in the grass and a beautiful grassy lawn and patio cocktail area, and then we went into the venue that was all glass looking out onto that pond, and just stunning. Oh my gosh. So we went up Friday for the rehearsal. My husband hired one of the chefs there at the lodge to do a private rehearsal dinner for us in one of the historic rooms of the old lodge that was a big glassed-in porch. So we had a great rehearsal, then a cocktail hour, and then our rehearsal dinner there. Then the cabins were ready for us to check in at 4 o'clock, so we all went back and checked into our cabins. And then my husband and I hosted a cocktail party at our cabin, and my husband hired the chef also to prepare a 6-foot-long epic charcuterie board for our party, and it was epic. It was just so good. And so, we just had extended family and of course the bridal party and everybody come over for cocktail party. And that lasted a couple of hours, and then the next day was the wedding, and I'll tell you what, everything was so smooth. There was no stress. Nobody had any meltdowns, or nothing was stressful at all. It was just a really nice, enjoyable get ready day. My daughter-in-law had a hair and makeup crew there, and did my makeup for me, as well as her mom and her girls and hers, of course. So we all looked great, and had afternoon ceremony at 4:30, and then rolled into cocktail hour on the lawn and the patio there, and fantastic food, great music. Everybody danced, old to young. The dance floor was never empty. It was always packed. Nobody drank too much. Everybody just, had a good time, and it was just perfect. And then at 10 o'clock they had a beautiful big sparkler send-off, and it was just so nice. And we went back to our cabins, and the kids, of course, had after party at their cabin until the wee hours of the morning. And then the next day we all checked out and drove up here to our country club, where my husband and I hosted a brunch for the wedding party and the extended family. So it was just a beautiful, beautiful weekend. So that's the big news, is I now have a daughter-in-law, which I couldn't be happier. She's a wonderful, wonderful girl. They've been together for 6 years, and they just are two peas in a pod, so you can't ask for more than that. So that was the big news personally that we've been getting ready for. And so that's great. And then things have been moving along at our new property next door. It's been all repainted inside. All the plumbing has been redone. We got the hardwood floors redone. And I just went over this morning and did a little cleaning over there. We still have to do a little bit more cleaning before our youngest son can move in there. And then the final project that we're going to do over there this year is have the demolition done. There's a lot of exterior demo that needs to be done, and that's probably going to happen in the next week or two. So I will show you that, because I think demo is very exciting. So we will show you that. And then, you know, so within the next couple of weeks, our son's going to move in. So that's a really exciting milestone in our family as well. So my husband and I will be official empty nesters, although he'll just be across the yard, but that's all right. So I'm making big plans about what to do with his bedroom and his lounge upstairs. So that's going to be fun because it will include houseplants. So you will see all of that. So that's the second big thing. And the third thing I wanted to tell you guys was a big project that we're going to start at this house is all of the concrete wall out in front of our house and the concrete stairs. All of that's getting ripped out, and we're going to have field stone put in. So big, beautiful field stone wall and stairs, and it's just we're going to redo the whole front. Hardscape is going to have a whole facelift, so we are just so excited. But you may have noticed that I've been pulling plants from that area, and the reason is because the stairway is going to be wider and everything's going to have to get demoed out. So I'm trying to move plants all out of there. So that's going to be my big push this week. Is I'm going to focus on clearing the rest of the plants out of that front bed, saving the bulbs so that I can replant those, and also this willow tree, which has gotten so huge. There's no way I'm going to be able to. I could overwinter it in the mudroom again, but it's huge. So that's going to go into the ground out in the front too. So that's part of that project out front, and that's going to be happening, I think, late October. So we still have a little bit of time. I'm not under the gun at all for that. So, but that's my next push, is to really get everything cleared out of those front beds and find homes for them, and really kind of come up with a new front bed garden design that incorporates the tree. So that is all of the good and exciting news, updates, and new projects. So let's go for a walk around the garden and see what it's looking like this second week. I think, what's today, the 16th? I think today's the 16th or 17th. I don't know. I've lost all track of time because of the wedding. But it's mid-September. So for this mid-September garden tour, let's go. I'm going to start back here on the deck. You may notice instead of 3 beautiful hanging baskets, I am down to 2. Right before the wedding, it was just like a couple days before the wedding, this hook came out of the wall and the pot crashed to the ground. And my husband did not have a battery for his drill, so that project, that just got put off until after we got back from the wedding. And that pot had been sitting on the deck for several days. Well, it might have been close to a week. And when he fixed the hanger and we put it back up, it just looked horrible. So I got rid of it, and I just took the other 2 and moved them down here. So theirs is still looking beautiful, flanking the fountain, so I'm happy about that. Again, talking about that willow, I mean, standing back, you can kind of see that willow. Once we get it into the ground, I think it's going to be a good 5 feet. So that is definitely due to be planted. Over here, the cannas are doing great. I have just the yellow and the orange, and I'm going to dig these bulbs, and I'm going to keep them and label them, and I'm going to relocate those to a couple different places in the yard next year. And then, oh my goodness, this variety of canna, I have to look up and see if I can figure out what variety these are, because these, I was so late in putting these in the ground, and I thought that I had killed them, but they just are going gangbusters. Even this one that's a little bit behind because of its a little bit less light that it gets is just stunning. I mean, they're just beasts. I love them so much. So of course I'll be digging these bulbs, and I'll be doing a I'll be doing a video on how I dig and store my canna bulbs. They're not bulbs, they're rhizomes. So that'll be another video. But oh gosh, look at this. This guy is just loving his life. I can't wait to plant this out in the landscape. That is going to be super fun. So back here to the fenced yard. There we go. The hibiscus is doing great. It's full of buds. So that is just doing great, but I am going to relocate this next year because this is going to get too big. And then next year when we do work on opening up this fence here, this is going to be in the way. So I'm going to move this over here somewhere next year. The anthurium is cut back. I'm going to come over this way, I guess. I had to cut it back because it was starting to die out a little bit. So I cut back my silver mound. This Veronica is doing good. And I really have learned a big lesson this year that I need to not be afraid to cut things back. I cut this back too late. You can see it's all flushing out, beautiful new growth, and it, shot up some new spikes. But if I had done this right when the first flush of Veronica was starting to fade, I need to just not be afraid to go in and just cut that back so I can get a second really good strong flush later in the season. Today I did finally cut back all of my iris on either side here, and oh my gosh, this Medusa allium, well, it was looking really great, but then I think Avery came and laid in it, and so it's not looking so great. Oh dear, what can you do? What can you do? But it's still pretty. It's still pretty. And my pots are doing good. I've had to trim those back because they just were growing all over the place. And this morning I had to cut back the stalks of my Easter lilies because I think they were infested with spider mites. And they were fading anyway. But I usually like to leave the stems, like I do with the iris, to feed the bulbs so that they can come back hardy and strong next year. So I just cut those back. Again, hibiscus is doing great. This again, the Russian sage, if I have this here next year, which I think I am going to pull this and plant it outside through the gate when I landscape the front, I think I'm going to put the Russian sage out front where it can get all day sun and like no water, and I can just leave it alone, and I think it's going to do a little bit better out there. So we'll see. I'm still debating, but I'm pretty sure I'm going to pull that. And I think I'm going to pull these daisies and relocate them over there where the other daisies are to kind of bulk that up. And I might add a new variety of daisy. I want to try the Proven Winners Daisy May next year, so I'll probably add that over there as well to beef it up. This hibiscus is looking good. This hosta, though, this is not such a great spot for it. I thought it'd be shady enough that it would do good, but it gets nailed with sun and it just kind of scorches and it's struggling. So I'm going to pull that out and put that someplace shadier. And I think this is an area where I might put some of those orange and yellow cannas next year. So I think I am going to do that. Let's see, my Yuki snowflake is looking a little struggly. I don't know whether it wasn't watered enough, or maybe I just need to give it some fertilizer. I think I'm going to give it some fertilizer. I mean, it's not like in danger of dying or anything, but just the leaves look a little peaked. So cut back some of the Rudbeckia, but I left a few of the blooms that were still viable, but that's another one. Next year, I'm going to be more vigilant about when that first flush starts to fade. I'm going to cut that back aggressively and I think get another good strong bloom, second bloom in the season. This Russian sage, I think I'm going to relocate this as well. I was thinking about relocating this one and the other one onto the front bank and maybe pulling that hibiscus out there and putting it right where the sage is. So I think that's what I'm going to do. But look, guys, look how good this Creeping Jenny is really taking under the swing. I mean, they were pretty not so great looking when I planted them, but oh my gosh, they are looking so vibrant and so beautiful. So I'm happy with that. And oh my gosh, look at, well, disregard the flag that has has come and flipped over the fence, but oh my gosh, the purple pillar Rose of Sharon looks so good. And look at it, just has so many blossoms and so many buds. So this is gonna just keep blooming, and I am just so excited for that shrub. Looks so, so good. My Jenna phlox. These things grew so big that they were just flopping over like crazy. I mean, they grew like beasts. And I was thinking, God, was I not paying attention to what the tag was saying for their height and everything? And I looked on the tag, and these things are only supposed to grow like 36 inches. Well, holy tamale, those things were like, they were an easy 6 or 7 feet tall, but they got too heavy, and they were, bending over and just looking messy and breaking the stems. And by accident, the ones that had broken off, look what's happening. This is where it broke off, and this is the new growth that it put out. So again, lesson learned. This is the biggest lesson I've learned in my garden this year. Do not be afraid to aggressively cut back things to keep them reblooming. So next year, that is something. When these get any bigger than this, I'm cutting them. I'm cutting them back, and we're gonna have a nice, beautiful second flush. So I have to not be afraid. Don't be afraid to cut. So that is the lesson learned. Over here, my hostas are looking great. The ferns, everything's looking great in this corner. So happy with that. Happy with my little mini hostas that I relocated from the front. And, the leaves were not looking so great. But look it's been pushing new growth. So I think it's happy in its new spot. So good deal there. And the second one is doing just fine. The Creeping Jenny is doing great. So is the oh my gosh. Well, anyway, that ground cover is looking good. Came in here today, cut back some lilies. Next year I might relocate my Coreopsis, this one, and my Cruisin' Route 66. I might relocate those to the front bank as well. And possibly this Nepeta. So we'll see. I think I'm going to do a lot of stuff, a lot of moving stuff around next year. Cut back some of my Rudbeckia that were done blooming. Oh, Ajuga. It came to me. That ground cover, my Ajuga. Doing great. So Rudbeckia cut back, the ones that were spent. But these guys, oh God, I love these so much. These are so darling. These are doing great. And again, I just think that's a perfect placement for them right behind the peony hedge, because the peonies act as supports. The rest of the iris down here I cut back today, trimmed up my Stella d'Oro lily. That's doing good. So the only thing that's really not doing so great, this wall planter is always a struggle for me. Number one, I forget to water it. That's the number one thing. And then I was looking at it, and if I get close up on this, it's got spider mites. I don't know if you could see it. It's got spider mites. So I think I'm on the fence. It's mid-September. Do I pull it out and put a fall planting in that? Or do I just limp it along until October and then pull it? I don't know. I'm still on the fence about it. So if you don't look close, it looks great from back here. Oh dear. Oh, look at that pretty Weigela blossom. A few of them all over, but not many. As you go later in the season, they rebloom, but not like in the springtime it's covered. So, gotta open up this gate so we can get out. And hopefully I will be getting this gate latch fixed soon, God willing. The Miss America hosta, she's doing great. Praying Hands doing great. Oh, the lilac, not doing great. It's just a mess. It's really, I struggle with this shrub every year. I think this is going to get pulled. It's too much for me. I don't know. I've tried, and it's very sad. And I hate to give up on a plant, but I'm giving up on this. I decided this morning, I'm like, I just had enough. It just looks horrible. It's struggling. I think it's got borers. So, yeah, that's going to be a project, over the next couple of weeks. This is going to get pulled out. I want to find something beautiful and big and colorful in there that can handle, it's pretty shady. I'll have to pay attention to exactly how many hours of sun it does get a day so that I can put the proper thing in there, but I'm going to find a beautiful shrub to put back in there, and that's going bye-bye. The ajuga's doing great out here. All of my hostas are doing good, and oh my gosh, this it has just come back so nice. So again, this was the hydrangea. This hydrangea and my other hydrangeas had mistakenly gotten cut back by my long crew last year, so I got no blossoms, which it's fine. I had just hoped that I didn't lose them altogether, but it's come back with a vengeance. Super healthy. I mean, like pristine, just gorgeous. No problems whatsoever. So I'm totally fine with that. These hostas are looking good, and yeah, everything's looking really good. Over underneath the crab apple here, I have my 2 hostas. I'm going to relocate from the backyard 2 of my green hostas and put in here, one over there, one over here, and I think that's going to be pretty much it for that bed. Back around here to my antique wheelbarrow. Those annuals are looking great. They're doing really good. All my hosta and ferns, and that heuchera is doing really good in that bed. So this is looking really good. Everything pretty much has been, pulled from down in the front, and I just have some of the iris I need to pull here. But I have some mums here, and over there I have some mums that they're gonna blossom, and that'll be a little bit of fall color. But speaking of heucheras, my heuchera bed here is doing really good. They're all taking and doing great. And that ajuga's doing good, my ghost fern. You can look in there. This little frog's been hanging out all day. So cute. So this front, I'm very happy with. This morning I came out and cleaned my fountain, and my annuals are looking really good. Cut back the rest of my iris in here so that looks nice and tidy. And look at my foxglove. I'm getting a little bit of bloom on my foxglove. And again, if I had cut that back sooner, I think that I would have had a better second flush on that too. So that is the huge lesson this year. Butterfly bush is doing nice. No blossoms on my rose right now, and I have to just look into seeing if I should do some sort of a rose fertilizing in the fall on this. But in general, I bought this rose because it's like a no fuss rose. You just kind of set it and forget it. But I'm going to see if there's something I should be putting on it, maybe just to give it an extra boost. Oh my goodness, this wisteria vine is doing fabulous. I couldn't be happier with the results of that this year on the trellis. This little butterfly bush is doing good, but again, not as good as this one. But again, I moved it a couple of times, so maybe this is the right spot for it. We shall see how it does next year. Then back around, and this is the bed that all has to get cleared out. And I think I'm going to be planting the willow. No, not there. I think I'm going to be planting it almost over to our line. So over here, because I didn't want it to be directly in front of the ginkgo tree on the street. So I think I'm going to be putting it right here, which is about midway between our willow tree and our neighbor's maple tree. So, but I have a lot in here to dig up and relocate still. And that's going to be, like I said, my main focus these next couple of weeks, to get this all cleared and primed and ready for our new project. But oh my gosh, I am so excited. So all of the concrete wall from here over, these concrete steps and all these pads are coming out, and then all the way down to the corner. That's all coming out, and we're going to widen the staircase and line it up, because if you notice, the lowercase staircase is offset from the upper staircase. They're not lined up. This one's way over to the side, which makes no sense to me. I don't know why it ever was like that, but we're gonna correct it. So we're gonna keep it starting over there, but it's gonna come out and be much wider over here so that it centers up on those stairs. We're gonna get the wood steps and the wood decking on our front porch sanded down and stained a dark gray. We're not going to do paint again because it peels, so we're going to sand it down and do a stain. So that's going to be part of the project as well. And this fountain is going to relocate to the backyard, to the fenced yard, and I'm getting a gorgeous big fountain that we're going to seat right here. So it's going to be out away from the porch, and I'll be able to see it a little bit better when I'm sitting on my front porch. And it's gorgeous. I have it ordered, but you had to order it I had to order it about a month ago in order for it to be delivered next May. So that will be super, super exciting. The other thing that I'm thinking about, and I talked to our neighbors about, is pulling out all of this bamboo in here and maybe putting a vegetable garden in there. But I have to just really see if that is going to get enough daylight, sunshine. I'm not sure if it's going to get enough sun. So I have to think that through, but that is a possibility. They've given me permission to go ahead and put a vegetable garden in there, and I'll give them some produce. I told them if I'm able to do a successful garden, so we shall see. But I'm gonna have to pay attention a little bit to how many hours of light that area actually gets. I'm not sure if it's enough. But that is my September garden, guys. It's starting to look a little sleepy, but that's all right. I think, we're all starting to wind down a little bit this fall season. And looking forward to a rest, right? The garden needs a rest just like we need a rest. So, all right, guys, thanks for coming along with me. I hope you enjoyed this tour, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.